Hello and welcome to another episode of the Smash Accept podcast. I'm your host, Michael Royer. You can find me on Twitter at DynastyDad FF. Joined as always by my main man at FFSnoog. We just passed 5,000 subs. We couldn't thank you guys more. Make sure you guys go down, hit that subscribe button for more great Dynasty and redraft content to help you guys smash your leagues. Today, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about this ever-shifting quarterback landscape in Dynasty. You know, we've seen a couple of guys get injured. Some of the guys that we've predicted to really explode have done that. And Snoog, when it comes to quarterback rankings, we're talking about tiers so much more than we're talking about individual rankings. And a lot of the guys that you and I like have skyrocketed.
Yeah, I'm excited to jump into the different tiers. I know there's been a lot of injuries in the landscape. Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, some of these guys kind of facing injuries and what that looks like. So we'll help you navigate that space. But I'm mostly excited, Dad, to jump through and talk about a lot of these young stud QBs that we've been, touting on the show for a while now. Drake Maye, Caleb Williams, where they're landing in our rankings now because we're super high on them. Not much movement there because we are already super high on them, but it's going to be exciting here because Caleb and Drake Maye, Dad, they're having career years right now with big bounce back seasons based off last year. So I'm excited for this one.
Talking from high upside into guys that are just certified studs. A lot of people in the offseason really tried to move this guy out of here. Made no sense. He's never finished below QB2. That's my man, Josh Allen. Josh Allen currently, right now, quarterback one on the season. Every single year of his career, he's finishing the top two. I know a lot of people wanted to move Jaden Daniels into this spot, Snoog, but you just can't do it. I mean, like even putting Lamar here made no sense because Josh Allen is your set it and forget it. Redraft, Dynasty, QB1. My man threw his first interception of the year this year. He's got 7 touchdowns, multiple rushing TDs. He is the man when it comes to Dynasty. And this smash tier, our S tier, we're talking about guys, Snoog, that in Superflex, and especially in 12-team. That's what we're talking about when we go with these values. 12-team Superflex, Josh Allen is borderline untradeable. I would say he's worth 4 firsts, as is your guy here at that 2 spot. But when it comes to Allen, aside from Lamar, I don't care who it is, you're giving me a first on top of it, or else I'm not even considering it.
Yeah, it's funny. QB1 and QB2 in our Dynasty rankings, Josh Allen and this guy, Lamar Jackson, are also QB1 and QB2 in fantasy points per game on the season. 4 games in, they're both averaging 23-plus points per game and 4-point passing. 6-point passing, it's even higher. These guys are set it and forget it, franchise cornerstone pieces. They're damn near untradeable in Dynasty. They have 40-point upside at any given week. They can single-handedly win you your week, and they are guys that are 28, 27, 29 years old in that range that should be good for another 5 to 10 years at the quarterback position. Elite rushing upside and 40-plus passing touchdown upside as well. These guys are, like you said, Dad, they're the smash tier. They're untradeable assets.
And we got the green up just for them because that's where the money's made. These 2 guys have won me so much money over the years, it's not even funny. These next 2 guys, it's a slight tier down, and I call this the A tier. These are the game changers. And I only have 2 guys in this tier. I think by the end of the year, this might be a tier of like 4 or 5, to be honest. But for right now, it's Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts. And I think Jaden Daniels, 19.9 fantasy points per game this year. Last year, he was top 5. This year, he's currently QB9. He's a little bit banged up, and I think that's going to cause some opportunities here for you to make some trades to get Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels was phenomenal last season. The weapons are not anything elite, but the man has an extreme rushing upside. He puts you in contention to win week in and week out. If I'm young, and I have an opportunity right now to trade Lamar for Jaden Daniels plus. If you get a Lamar and a second for Daniels in the first, I would do that. I still think Allen and Daniels now at this point, probably a late first gap for me. But I think it's time to consider kicking the tires a little bit if you're not a contender. The next guy, Snoog, no one gets more crap than Jalen Hurts. But fantasy football, when it comes to fantasy football, he's top 5 every single year. You can set it and forget it, but everybody wants to start crapping on his game.
Top 5 every single year, and he's QB5 this year in points per game. And it looks like what has been a down year for that Eagles offense to start out. Like, they don't look like themselves. The OC, the play calling's horrific there. But Jalen Hurts gets it done no matter what. 4 rushing touchdowns already through 4 weeks, averaging like 40 to 50 rushing yards a game. Passing touchdowns are there. The passing yards aren't there, but he makes up for it with his rushing touchdowns. Dad, this guy has a floor of like 24, 25 fantasy points every week against a good matchup for himself. And he has that 30, 40-point upside like the guys in tier 1 and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. So Jalen Hurts, he has the O-line, he has the run game, he has the weapons, and he has the tush push to keep him as the top 4 quarterback in Dynasty. Just 27 years old, has the big contract. Another one, set it and forget it. He's in the top 4. Don't get cute. He's going to get you 25 fantasy points a week in 6-point passing.
So there's only one quarterback in the league that's thrown more than 35 passes without an interception. It's Jalen Hurts. Like, I understand you're not looking for crazy yardage. You only got 500 yards passing. He's at right now 609 yards passing throughout 4 weeks, and that's extremely low. But when you talk about those 9 touchdowns, you talk about the 4 rushing. 4 rushing is number 1 in the NFL. The 5-0 is the best ratio we have in the NFL. So Jalen Hurts is going to put up points for sure. The next tier, this is where it gets exciting. This is where Snoog and I really have helped guys in the Discord. And again, link to the Discord right there down below. This is where guys have made money this year. This is where guys are. Last year, they were trading Jaden Daniels for Caleb Williams plus, or you were trading Jalen Hurts for Drake May plus. This next tier is super sexy. My QB5, and it feels good to say it. I honestly, Snoog, if I see another 6 games of this type of production, Caleb Williams joins A tier for me. This is a guy that horrible coaching staff last year, horrible offensive coordinator with Waldron. We talk about it. We make the excuses for all the wide receivers with Waldron, right? From JSN to Rome, but now nobody makes that excuse for Caleb. Caleb had no coaching at all. Ben Johnson's really starting to get through to him. You saw it in the Dallas game, almost 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. He has taken the next step. He is the next guy that I want on all my dynasty teams. I made a trade today. I sent that over to you. I gave up Javonte Williams and Baker Mayfield for him. I couldn't be happier because I think Caleb Williams is, we talk about foundational quarterbacks, and I have 9 to 11 guys that I would really call a foundational quarterback. But this B tier is your elite upside. These are the guys that they don't cost you Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen money yet, but they might, and I think Caleb Williams, by the time this season is over, jumps in. I don't think he's going to pass Jalen Hurts, but I think he moves up a tier into that A tier. From what I've seen, I love it. The weapons are there. The youth is there. The rushing upside is what's been fantastic with Caleb Williams this year. I'm loving it. Love all the shares I've had of him. And it's fun because Dynasty is so cyclical, right? He was the 101 in all formats last year. And then everybody took him 101. But then everybody loved Jaden Daniels. Everybody loved Malik Neighbors. Everybody loved, those guys that started pushing him, where you had a buying window. That buying window for Caleb Williams is slowly coming to an end. And I think you're going to see him right now. B tier is worth 3 firsts. So if you sell Caleb Williams for less than 3 firsts, you're not getting adequate, like 2.5, I should say. A tier is 3 for Daniels and Hurts. Right now, Caleb and this tier, they're worth 2.5 firsts. And I could see in a couple of weeks being worth 3, just like this next guy.
This one feels good, Dad. This was a guy that I was super high on last year. And as a Boston guy, it was tough. It was up and downs. It was roller coasters, but I could see the upside. I comped him to Justin Herbert and Jordan Love coming out with rushing upside, and it's Drake May, and I'm so excited to see it finally come together for him. And the fact that it is coming together with those weapons that he's working with is even more impressive. He's my QB6 in Dynasty right now. He's QB4 through 4 weeks in points per game. And, Dad, the best part about Drake May, his next stretch of games, he has Buffalo, which will be tough, but not the best defense in the world. He has New Orleans. He has Tennessee. He has Atlanta, Tampa Bay, the Jets twice, the Bengals, the Giants, and the Dolphins again. That's like his next stretch of games. That he is going to continue this. He's going to be a top 5 to 8 quarterback this year, finisher. I think he's going to be top 5. I literally think that he has the upside to be a top 3 QB, and he has dark horse QB1 overall upside for the future. Not right now, but I think, you get him like Josh Allen. He got his digs, and he took that next step. Get Drake May, his, Garrett Wilson, his Drake London, his Malik Neighbors, someone like that. And he's going to take that next step, Dad, because he has the rushing upside, but he has the passing upside as well. 230 plus yards passing in all 4 games. He's a stud. Like, he's going to punch in, 30, 40, 50 rushing yards, and he's going to get rushing touchdowns sprinkled in there as well. So,
yeah, it's been phenomenal. I mean, he's on a 3-week stretch here, 780 plus yards. He every single game in the last 3, he's had 75% completion percentage and 2+ touchdowns. Only Brady's done it more. The next one here, we talk about guys that, I think at the wide receiver position, you and I say it's Chase, it's Jefferson, it's Chase, it's Jefferson. It goes back and forth for every year. Herbert and Burrow are the next two guys on this list, and they flip-flopped a lot over the years. But I think Justin Herbert now being healthy this year, leading the NFL in passing yards, despite losing this past week, I think Justin Herbert now fully has a nice complement of weapons. Omarion Hampton looks like the real deal. They have Quentin Johnston, Keenan Allen, and yes, I said Ladd McConkey is the third guy there in that list. Rondé Gadsden now at tight end. Justin Herbert, it looks like they're letting him pass more. Looks like this offense is really going to open up, and he's only got 96 rushing yards, but he has a ton of upside from the rushing side too. So I think Justin Herbert has low-key passed Joe Burrow. When you talk about Joe Burrow with his injury, the cheapest variation you can get is to get Herbert, Maye, or Caleb straight up. If you can do that, I'm doing it. But Snoog, the Joe Burrow news definitely hurts. Like, we have a bit of a history now of every other year Joe Burrow has a pretty major injury, and I think it's left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. Rebuilding, I'm buying everywhere I can because I feel like people are they're tired of the injuries. Are you still buying on Joe Burrow?
Yeah, I am. And whenever I can get a superstar talent and buy low on him, I am. Dad, I'm throwing a wrench in your plans. I actually want Mahomes over Burrow, and we'll touch on both of these guys. They're back to back here, but the injuries are concerning because we saw what happened with Andrew Luck, and I don't think that Bengals offensive line will get any better anytime soon. Mm-hmm. I think they both have the same upside, Dad, and you hit it on the head beyond the show. Like Rashee Rice and Worthy are going to help Mahomes take that next step. And with that defense in Kansas City looking a lot worse than it's ever has, now it's like, okay, Patrick, you got to do something. You got to put your team on the back and be a Josh Allen and be a Lamar Jackson and stop being a game manager. Because the past two seasons, he's been a QB, like a low-end QB2 the past two seasons. But now it's like he's been absolutely elite. Yeah, he's QB3 in points per game. It's like he needs to take that next step. So both superstars, but buy Burrow everywhere you can, especially as a rebuilder, Dad.
I know everybody feels like Mahomes is finishing that QB 12 to 14 range consistently over the last 2 years, but it feels like on a week-to-week basis, he is in that QB2 range. This year, 7 touchdowns. He's got the 2 rushing touchdowns, only 1 interception. Rashee Rice is coming back. This is perfect. If you're contending, and this is why we talk about tiers over rankings, right? If you're contending, give me Mahomes. If I'm rebuilding, give me Burrow. Age is very similar. This is the end of this tier. This is the fun tier. The next one, we're really starting to play upside. And I only have 2 guys in this because when I'm talking about foundational quarterbacks, guys that you can get it, set it, and forget it, you can put them in the lineup every single week, and they have value because there's a lot of guys you can put in your lineup every week. You know, there's guys that have that upside. For me, I'm looking at 2 guys here in this next tier. The first one, Jordan Love. Jordan Love coming off another 3-touchdown performance, has thrown multiple touchdowns in 75% of his games so far in the NFL. Like, he's a guy, he's going to throw interceptions. He's going to have some lumps. But I think the days of Green Bay just running the ball and that defense looked good the first couple of weeks. Last 2 weeks, they've given up some points. I think Jordan Love has the upside to potentially move into B tier. He's that good of a quarterback, and he's young. I believe he's only 25 years old. So I think Jordan Love, if we get Matthew Golden on the right page and we get him another weapon here, we're starting to be in that spot where Jordan Love could really rise in value. He's a guy I love insulating off of. If I have Joe Burrow and I want to, continue contending, give me Jordan Love in an early second, late first. I'm definitely in. The guy I love next, though, is number 11. He's my favorite quarterback to watch outside the elite because even as he did against his Eagles, he's got the moxie. He's got that, like, killer instinct, the drive. You can't help but love Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, Baker's a fun player, man. I mean, he's going to have, once Evans is back healthy, Godwin's ready to go, and you got Emeka Egbuka over there. They're going to be cruising. They're going to be ready to go, and he's going to be putting up video game stats. Dad, his last, 5 or 6 games of the season, he's got the Rams, tough, but then he has Cardinals, Saints, Falcons, Carolina, and Miami during that playoff stretch. And then the next couple weeks here, he's got Seattle, San Fran, Detroit, and New Orleans. He's going to start ramping up. That playoff stretch is going to be incredible for him. He's going to have another big year. Liam Cohen left. Doesn't matter. Baker Mayfield's still there. He's still putting out like he was with Liam Cohen there. So you can shut that agenda right out because Liam Cohen doesn't look great over there in Jacksonville with his play calling and his offensive success right now. But Baker, Daddy's got the weapons. He's got the situation. He's ready to roll. So,
and I have C tier. Those guys are worth an early first to me. Next year's class, it's Lenore, Sellers, Aller. It's not a ton of upside compared to what you can get for current players. So if you can give a 103, 104 and get one of those guys. The next tier we're going to talk about is D tier. And these are veteran quarterback twos that in Dynasty I have valued in that 104 to 106 range, maybe 107. The first guy, and I think this guy is going to join C tier very shortly, is Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy right now, he is at QB 10 in just 2 games. This past week, 300 yards, multiple touchdowns. I think in the Shanahan system, already got paid. Brock Purdy he's like your new age Kirk Cousins, not in his skill set, but in his value. Most people undervalue him because he's not flashy. He's not sexy. He's not putting up 40 plus games, but he just consistently gets it done. And when I really try to replace value, I have a ton of Brock Purdy because I've taken perceived late 27 firsts and added a Geno Smith to get to Brock Purdy. I have no problem doing that kind of stuff because Brock Purdy is going to be a starter and a top 15 upside type quarterback for multiple years. Is he ever going to finish QB1 overall? No, 0% chance. Top 10, I can see it. You know what I mean? But I think he's going to hover in that 10 to 16 range multiple years. The next guy's the interesting one, right? 13 is Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is cilantro. You love him or you hate him. I talked to some dynasty managers and they're like, would you trade him for a late first? Heck no. He's a top 10 quarterback every single year. By the time the season is over, that is exactly where he will finish in fantasy points per game. Right now, struggling. 16.4 puts him at QB 19. One big game puts him right back in that top 10 range. But sell me on why Kyler Murray belongs to be borderline in that top 12, 13 range.
Yeah, it's just, I know the rushing upside hasn't been outstanding, but it's there, and it can be one of his best features from a fantasy football perspective. He's got McBride, he's got Marv, he's got the weapons, he's got an okay offensive line, he's got a decent run game there. I think Gannon and that offensive coordinator, I think this is their year, and if they're not, a playoff fringe team or at least a wild card type team, they're out the door, right? And new coaching staff, new regime is going to come in. Because something needs to change. That offense has zero dynamic ability and zero creativity, and it needs to, right? You have Marvin Anderson Jr. and you have Trey McBride, and you can't move the football, and you can't get the ball to them. And it's like Trey McBride's used as a check down. It's like, dude, this guy is phenomenal. Like, move him across the middle of the field. Use him like Kelsey. Use him like these stud tight ends. So it's like, I think there's going to be some change there for the better, and I think Kyler Murray, you're seeing his floor right now. And if his floor is QB12, Dad, sign me up.
The next guy for me is QB 14, Bo Nix. Starting out the season, he was approaching that QB 10 range. He struggled a little bit, 64% completion, just 5 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Hopefully he gets it rolling here with the Bengals. But I think Bo Nix has what it takes to be in this value. I think when you look at this, he's in this tier where I would pay the 105. I have no problem doing that in next year's class. Next year's class is not all that stacked, and the quarterbacks are not that good. But he's a veteran QB2. I don't mind him as my QB2 in Dynasty. I would not want him as my quarterback 1. I'm just putting it that way. Like he's not going to give you that same upside like the guy is at number 15. Jared Goff continues to just put up numbers. If I'm contending, I would rather have Jared Goff than Bo Nix because Jared Goff every now and then just pops off for 4 or 5 touchdowns. Every single week, he's that guy that you can put in your lineup. Right now, he's in that top, 15 range, but he did have that one extreme dud there. So I think Jared Goff is a great QB2 in Dynasty.
Yeah, he is. He's in the situation to thrive, Dad. He's 30 years old. He's the cornerstone guy for the Lions for at least a couple more years, and he's got the weapons and he's got the offensive line. He's got the situation to thrive. He's like getting Kirk Cousins when Kirk Cousins was on that great stretch of just consistent numbers at 30 years old all over again. If I can get 5 years of top 10 to 12 numbers, I value that like crazy. QB 15, Jared Goff, sign him up. He's going to put up those big 40-point games like we've seen. He might have some duds. It happens with Goff, but he does win you your week sometime. And
that's the end of D tier for us. E tier, what we're looking at here, and you can see over here on the side, is the gap now is you're looking at these are QB2s that you might want to stream. They have QB2 upside in Dynasty, but I don't want to set him in my lineup every single week. You switched it up on me with the Burrow, so I'm going to switch it up on you, and you're not going to like this one. But it's going to let you talk about your guy. We have CJ Stroud collectively at that QB 16. Currently, the QB 27. I'm going with the new kid on the block. I'm going with the guy that is, he's got his Anakin Skywalker face paint on. He's ready to go. Give me Jackson Dart. Because what have you done for me lately? And likability is huge in Dynasty. In the next 2 weeks, if CJ Stroud and Jackson Dart both throw 2 touchdowns in both games, guess what? Dart's value skyrocketed, and Stroud slowly starts to creep back up. Stroud is a guy that we're going to cover multiple weeks here, talking about how he's a buy low, because going into next year, this is a great quarterback, but I think Jackson Dart is only going to rise in value. He's someone that I look at as like a 2025 version of Drake Maye, where you're going to see a ton of rushing upside. You're going to see weekly variance, but he could throw for 2 touchdowns and run for 50 yards every single week. And I think Snoog and I were ahead of the curve saying that he was going to be a first-round pick. We were ahead of the curve. I think as far as analysts go, I did not see anybody have him ranked in the first round outside myself and a couple others. I had him at that 111, 112. Most people had him as an early second, and I think we talked about it where he was going to be the 2025 Bo Nix type, where you get him late in the first, early second. We've seen it with Herbert. We've seen it with other guys in the past where you get great value with him, and he only continues to rise. And that young, sexy upside, I'm taking that over CJ Stroud. But I know you love Stroud, and I don't fault you there at all, because I think all these guys now, and this is the crazy part, Snoog, is at one point CJ Stroud was the 101 in Dynasty. You look at him now in that QB 16, 17 range, that's somewhere between the 106 and 110. And if you can get CJ Stroud for that kind of value, I think you have to.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I like CJ, because we've seen the upside. We know the talent's there. We know he has the ability to play as a top-end QB in the league. When you're a young QB and you're cycling through offensive coordinators and your offensive line's bottom 2 in the NFL, people want to say, oh, the Bengals offensive line's the worst. This offensive line's the worst. There is no offensive line in the NFL worse than the Houston Texans offensive line over the past 2 years. I don't care what anyone tries to say. If you just watch the games, you will understand why. Their center and guards let up sacks. It's not even like a tackle. It's the center and guards. Defensive tackles are getting sacks consistently against that front. So I think things get better. This is the floor. This is the absolute worst bottom floor that we're going to see from CJ Stroud. He looked good this past week. So I'm excited to see him continue to bounce back. And I mean, even at the start of last year when he had Tank Dell and Diggs healthy with Nico, he wasn't what everyone wanted him to be, but he was averaging, 280, 290 passing yards a game through the first few weeks, looking great. So things got worse there. Hopefully play calling gets better, and you're seeing his floor right now.
And this is a bigger tier. We got 4 more guys here: Dak Prescott, JJ McCarthy, Trevor Lawrence, and Cam Ward. And I think it's really, when you look at those 4 players, it's what's your direction, and I'm going to take the building type side and take 2 of those guys, let you have the 2 veterans. But for me, I think the most bang for your buck right now, and I know it's going to sound a little crazy, is still JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy looked phenomenal in that 4th quarter when he started to put it together. The following week came out and threw out a dud. Small sample size, right? But if you're talking about upside, you're talking about a ton of potential to move up. I mean, heck, the last 2 weeks, Carson Wentz, believe it or not, Carson Wentz is QB 10, where he threw for 4 touchdowns in those last 2 weeks. People forget JJ McCarthy has only played 6 quarters as a quarterback. He's in an elite system with an absolutely elite head coach. Like the way that they make play calls there in Minnesota with the weapons that he has, he's going to succeed. It might have some growing pains, but I think you have to, you take the good with the bad when you talk about young quarterbacks. He's the perfect QB3. I have him on a bunch of dynasty teams where he's my QB3, QB4. Let him appreciate and value. I hate in dynasty where, you have all guys that are in this same tier. Most of mine, and my most owned dynasty quarterback is Josh Allen. So I have most of my teams like Josh Allen, and then I got Brock Purdy or Jared Goff as my QB2 or Baker. And then I got a guy like this. I got a JJ McCarthy. I got an upside guy who's ready to jump in. But you can't argue taking Dak Prescott over him. Dak Prescott had a phenomenal week 4. He's going to have the good with the bad as well. But with CeeDee Lamb coming back, he could start putting up big-time numbers.
Yeah, we saw against one of the league's best defenses on paper right now, him put up 4 total touchdowns, lit the league on fire without CeeDee Lamb. Dak's here to stay, and he's going to get better and better as the year progresses for me. He's just always my favorite value. In 6-point passing, it's like, all right, I got Mahomes, I got Josh Allen, I got Lamar. I need a QB2. I'm going to get Dak Prescott, right? And then I'm stacking him with those guys. You know, a high upside QB2 with QB1 upside, but he's in that older age, but he's a value. So I just love the value, the weapons, the offense, everything. That offense is going to smash this year in Dallas once CD's back. So I'm all over that at value. And then the last guy, like you said, Trevor Lawrence, Dad. Not pretty, not exciting, young, in a new system. So, you know, there's a lot of new things kind of working out there. A lot of like rough there to tween out, but he's got the weapons. He's got the coach, hopefully, with Cohen to finally put all the pieces together for Trevor Lawrence and take the next step like we saw in his second year when he put up 4K yards.
Do you know what he ranks right now in fantasy? QB what? Take a wild guess.
15.
Yeah, 31. I was going to guess 15 as well.
Crap.
Yeah, he's putting up 13.3 fantasy points per game, slightly less than Tua, Bryce Young, and Penix. And it's like the upside is there. The system is there. I'm with you, though. The next guy I'm actually going to take is actually the QB 32. Now, hear me out. Cam Ward, he admits it, right? He said dollar for dollar. What do you think our team? It's ass. And it is. Tennessee is bad. They're going to get rid of the head coach. They're going to get rid of the offensive coordinator. They're going to bring some things in. But what I love about Cam Ward is most young rookies, when they're in this situation, they're like, well, we're getting better every week. You know, this team is this, and I start to see this and that. Cam Ward wants to win. Cam Ward, everything I've seen from him in the offseason, he's a leader. He's a guy on the field that's going to be there. I don't own a single share. Neither does Snoog. But I think I might start buying some now because I think you're getting him for pennies on the dollar now for a guy that was at that QB1 range. And you could argue that Trevor Lawrence and both Trevor Lawrence and Cam Ward belong in this next F tier. I don't think we're quite there yet. These are the guys that I think are in that 109 to 112 range. You have a late first, you lost Joe Burrow. This is how you save your team. And the first guy for me is a guy that I've loved since day one, because I love the rushing upside, but it's Justin Fields. Like Justin Fields looks, you're going to get the good with the bad. But if you look over his last 8 starts, he has 2 in that QB 21 to 24 range. And then everything else has been top 10. Now I know before he went out with the concussion, that week was pretty ugly, but you're going to get that. You're going to have a week like week 1 where he put up 35 points. It was a QB1. And then you're going to have a week where he puts up 4.5. And you're like, what the heck? Do I start him next week? The answer is yes, because traditionally 75% of his games over the last 3 years have been QB1. The ones that aren't QB1 weeks, they're disgusting. So he is the prototypical QB2 that you pair with a nice solid QB1. I didn't mean to flip-flop it there. We got a little bit off. The rest of these guys in this tier, I'm going to let you talk about whoever you want. But the rest of this potential F tier is Michael Penix Jr., Tua Tagovailoa, Bryce Young, Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, and Matthew Stafford. That is your 28 quarterbacks who are worth a first, kind of, right? Like we look at some of this tier, league to league, 12-teamers. I'd give you like the 111 for Penix, maybe. You know, like that's just kind of where we're at. But tell me, pick one of those guys: Penix, Tua, Bryce, Daniel Jones, Darnold, and Stafford.
I'm going to go with Penix. I think Fields is definitely my favorite in this tier just because the weekly elite rushing upside and point. Like he has the highest point scoring upside by any of them by far. I'll go with Penix just because they just took him 8th overall last year. He's got the draft capital. He's got the situation to thrive. I don't think he'll ever be a guy that's an elite player, but I think he's a decent game manager plus. Like maybe can get to a Derek Carr, maybe can get to a Kirk Cousins type long term the more and more he learns. I mean, he's got London, Bijan, a great offensive line, a good coaching staff. He's got some weapons there, Mooney, Pitts. Like, he's got just a good situation, and his division is horrible. So at least he gets to play, 6 games a year that he has upside of putting 20 points up on the board. So I'm going to go with Penix there.
It is hard to even take it. It puts you in a bad spot where you're like, these are guys where Snoog and I, if you're not familiar with our work, like we take shots on big time quarterbacks. If you look at all of our rosters, I have 22. Snoog has an ungodly amount of leagues as well. If I think more, I don't have a single team where I'm starting a Bryce Young, a Tua Tagovailoa, a Michael Penix Jr. unless I'm rebuilding and trying to shave off points. I do have these guys stashed on teams, but the guy for me is this. I'm going to talk about Tua. I don't own Tua anywhere, but we're looking at back-to-back games with 2 touchdowns. The yards per attempt is abysmal, Snoog. It's 4.5 to 5.4 across his 3 games has been the yards per attempt. Quick hitter, just like you talked about above with we talked about with Trevor Lawrence. With Tua, this system's cooked. Mike McDaniels has seen his time has come and gone. I think Tua is going to be a fine back-end QB2, but those days of him being a QB1 are over, given the injury history and all those things. And, Bryce Young's the same way. I want to hear what your thoughts are on Daniel Jones. Bryce Young has just put up, week 1 was horrible. He's been solid ever since. He has not had a turnover, but the upside is just so low. I mean, you lose 35-6 to the Patriots and you have 1 touchdown. Like and you don't even throw for 300 yards. Like, how are you losing that bad and not catching up? But Daniel Jones, low key, outside this past week, right now he's still QB7 on the season. 1,078 yards, 4 touchdowns, multiple rushing touchdowns. Is Cinderella, is he going to turn into a pumpkin soon? Or is he going to be the guy that is the Sam Darnold of 2025?
I do think he's the Sam Darnold of 2025, but for a long-term view, I don't view him like anything special. He's, to me, a 1 to 2 year window type of guy. He's a bridge QB until you get your actual franchise guy. He's capable. He's putting out, he's balling in this Shane Steichen-led offense with Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Adonai Mitchell, Jonathan Taylor, a great offensive line, a good scheme that works for him. It's the best team he's played for yet. So it's good to see him thriving in this system and in this, right? Like, he was always in a crapshoot team. So maybe he is their guy, right, for a little bit. So I actually think that you could probably argue him over like Bryce and Tua, but he's right there with those guys. I mean, it's not pretty, it's not cute, but like, these are all guys that I like having as my QB3s on my team.
And the guy that I might take a shot on is Sam Darnold. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, but week 1 was abysmal. New system, trying to prove that he wasn't just the Viking system quarterback, but 295, 2 touchdowns, 218 and 2 touchdowns, 242 and a touchdown, plus, a little bit of rushing floor. Sam Darnold is being good enough to make JSN thrive. I don't think any of these guys are ultimately quarterbacks that I'm trying to invest in. But if I do have an early second and I can get a Matthew Stafford, that's a quarterback I'm willing to pay for. If I have a mid-second and I can get Geno Smith, that's production I'm willing to pay for. And I think that's where you're at. At the end of this, I want you to give me one guy here that you're stashing. Not a starter, a guy that you got to put on your bench. Because in Dynasty, there are opportunities for guys to really increase in value. Who's that guy for you?
Anthony Richardson, just because of the upside in the athletic and rushing profile, the big, strong arm. If he goes to a situation where he can sit for a year or 2 behind a vet that's a stud, I think there's upside for him to be, a guy that could be a starter in this league, especially with his athletic ability and upside. So it's Richardson for me. I think he has the ability to be good. I mean, his rookie year, he looked great. So it's him for me for sure.
Yeah, and Jalen Milroe's in that same cut. Guy's going to give you some rushing upside. For me, what I'm trying to do, Snoog, right now is I'm kicking the tires on some late guys, right? Because when you look at a guy and he's not a starter, he's probably worth a third rounder. I'm talking about guys 37, 38, and 39 in my rankings. Joe Milton, Malik Willis, and Sam Howell. I think Malik Willis has shown that if he jumps into that Packers role, he can put up borderline QB1 numbers, and I think Sam Howell going to Philly might be a fun little experiment. Joe Milton with Dallas. Those are the deals where you have a deal, you're about to get it done, say, throw in Joe Milton, throw in Malik Willis, throw in one of these guys. They don't hurt you at all. You stash them on your bench, you get it going. Guys, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Down below, again, patreon.com/smashaccept. All of my content, Snoog's content, weekly sit starts, weekly rankings, dynasty rankings updated every single Monday. We are here to help you guys grind, get you through. We usually say the off season, but get you through the season in the best shape possible to be ready for the playoffs. So thanks again for tuning in and enjoy the process.